I walked into the restaurant holding 2 reservations and a nervous smile. "Emily, happy anniversary," I said, trying to sound cheerful. She didn't look up immediately. Her eyes skimmed the menu, then landed on me. "You're late," she said flatly. "I know, I'm right on time. The table's ready." I stammered, adjusting my tie. My chest tightened. I had rehearsed this night in my head for weeks. "Right on time," she scoffed. "You've always been right on time for everyone but me, Daniel." I swallowed hard. I wanted tonight to be special. Special. Her voice cracked like glass. "You always say that. Always try to make it perfect and always fail." I opened my mouth, but no words came. I had memorized the lines I'd use, but hearing her say it out loud made them useless. She set down the menu and looked me directly in the eye. "Do you even see me anymore? Or am I just another task on your list?" I see you. I've always seen you," I said, voice trembling. "I know I don't say it enough, but..." Her hand shot out. I felt it before I saw it. A sharp, burning slap landed across my cheek. The restaurant went silent. Utensils clinked. The waiter froze. I touched my cheek and looked at her. "Emily, what?" "You're too late, Daniel. Too late for apologies, too late for love." Her words were jagged, each one stabbing deeper than the slap. "I'm sorry," I whispered almost instinctively. "I didn't mean to." "You never mean to," she shouted, her voice bouncing off the walls. "You just keep thinking that showing up, giving gifts, pretending to care, that it fixes everything." "I do care," I said, my throat tight. "More than anything." She laughed, bitter and empty. "Care? You call this care? You call this enough?" I wanted to reach for her hand, to hold her, to explain, to beg. Instead, I froze. My own words felt like lies when I spoke them aloud. "Daniel, you've always been late. Late to notice, late to act, late to love." "I can't do this anymore," she said. Her eyes were glossy now, but hard, angry and exhausted all at once. I opened my mouth again. "I can. No, don't. I'm done." She stood abruptly, the chair scraping loudly against the floor. She walked away, her back stiff, her head high. I sat there for a long time, staring at the empty space where she'd been. My hand still tingled from a slap. The room slowly returned to noise around me, but I couldn't hear it, couldn't process it. Finally, I whispered to myself, "How did it get here?" The waiter came back, holding our menus. "Is everything okay, sir?" I think so," I said. My voice was hollow. "Just give me a moment." I sat back in the chair, staring at the untouched wine. My fingers traced the rim of the glass. My mind replayed the slap over and over. The coldness in her eyes. The accusation that I was never enough. Later, I sat alone in the car, parked under a streetlight. I dialed my mother, but the words wouldn't come. I just held the phone, listening to the line hum. When I got home, I didn't even enter the bedroom. I went straight to the couch, curled up under the blanket we never used. Staring at our wedding photo above the mantel, I whispered to myself, I thought love was enough. Was I wrong? I didn't cry. Not at first. Just a tight, hollow ache of humiliation. And fear. A quiet, gnawing fear that nothing would ever be the same. That slap, it wasn't just a mark on my face. It was a crack in everything I believed. And deep down, I knew it was only the beginning. The house felt empty even when she was home. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at my untouched coffee. "Emily," I called softly. Her voice came from the living room, muffled by the TV. "You're late again." I had things to do. "Work, errands, life," she said without looking up. "Don't wait up for me every day, Daniel." I forced a laugh. "I'm not just worried, that's all. You worry too much." "It's exhausting," she muttered, tapping her phone. Her eyes never left the screen. I stared at her, trying to remember the woman who used to sit across from me and actually talk. "Emily, can we talk?" She sighed. "Talk about what? You already know everything, don't you?" I frowned. I just want to understand. I feel like, understand." Her laugh was bitter. "You never understood before. Why start now?" I bit my lip, swallowed the words. It was too soon, too heavy. I didn't want to push. Not yet. Later, my mother called. "Daniel, you sound off. Is everything okay with Emily?" "I'm fine," I said quickly, too quickly. "Just tired. Don't ignore it." You know when something's wrong, she said softly. Be careful, honey. Don't lose yourself. I know, Mom, I said, but I didn't feel like I knew. At work, Mark leaned over my desk. You look like a ghost, man. Did the apocalypse hit last night? I chuckled weakly. Huh, something like that. Yeah? Spill it. You can tell me. I don't want to get into it, I said. My hands trembled slightly over the keyboard. Sure, he said, shrugging. But you're going to crack if you keep it inside. I nodded silently, knowing he was right. That night, I sat on the couch, watching her scroll endlessly. She didn't notice me there. She barely noticed anything but her phone. I said nothing. I couldn't. Emily, can we eat? I'm not hungry, she replied, eyes glued to the screen. I watched her, replaying small things in my head. The missed calls, her sudden smiles at texts, the way she flinched when I moved too close. Was I imagining it all? I always did. Emily, I asked again, my voice quieter now. Are we okay? She glanced at me, eyes narrowing. Okay, what do you mean? Stop being dramatic. I'm fine. I just feel distant from you, I admitted. Like I don't know you anymore. She rolled her eyes. Daniel, you don't know anything. Maybe that's your problem. Maybe you've never tried to know me at all. Her words hit harder than the slap. I wanted to argue. I wanted to demand honesty. But fear held me back. Fear of losing her. Fear of hearing the truth. I stayed silent. Hours later, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. I remember the anniversary, the slap, her eyes, the coldness. I remember the nights she laughed quietly at her phone, claiming it was nothing. I remember the excuses, the explanations that didn't make sense. I whispered to myself, maybe I'm imagining things. Maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe it's all in my head. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. The silence, the distance, the coldness, they were real. I wanted to confront her, to demand answers. I wanted to shout, to cry, to beg for the truth. But I didn't. I stayed quiet, swallowed the ache in my chest, and let the day pass. When morning came, she was gone before I woke. I watched the door close behind her, and my heart sank. The cracks were spreading, invisible yet unstoppable. I realized then that avoiding the pain only made it worse. Each lie I didn't confront, each question I didn't ask, carved the distance deeper. And I feared one day I'd wake up and it would be too late. I woke to rain tapping the window and Emily standing at the foot of the bed. I'm pregnant, she said. No smile, no warmth, just the words. I sat up. You're what? My heart jumped, then froze. Emily, we haven't been together. She crossed her arms. That's your first response. I'm confused, I said. I'm just trying to understand. You always say that, she snapped. You think everything needs an explanation. It does when it's this, I said quietly. When? She turned away. Why does timing matter so much to you? Because it does, I said. Because I'm your husband. She laughed sharply. You're being selfish. The word stung. Selfish for asking if the baby is mine? Her eyes flashed. How dare you? I rubbed my face. Emily, please. Talk to me. There's nothing to talk about, she said. I'm pregnant. That's it. I wanted to scream. Instead, I whispered, how long? She didn't answer. She grabbed her coat and left, the door slamming behind her. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. I told myself. Don't assume. But memories crept in anyway. Ryan's laugh in the kitchen. Ryan sitting too close on the couch. Ryan texting her while I watched from across the room. Stop, I muttered. He's my friend. A week later, I sat beside Emily in the clinic. The doctor smiled politely. Based on the dates, conception happened about 10 weeks ago. 10 weeks. I counted silently. My chest tightened. Emily stared at the wall. I cleared my throat. We weren't together then. The doctor paused. I can step outside if you need privacy. No, Emily said quickly. We're fine. I looked at her. Were you with someone else? She said nothing. The silence answered for her. Outside, rain soaked the pavement. I said, is it Ryan? She flinched. That was enough. So it's true, I said. My voice sounded distant. My best friend. She whispered. It just happened. I laughed once broken. It never just happens. She grabbed my arm. Don't do this. Don't do what? I asked. Face reality? You're making it worse, she said. You're supposed to support me. I pulled my arm free. I don't even know who you are. She turned away. You never did. I stood there alone, rain soaking my clothes. The truth didn't hit like a punch. It sank in slowly, quietly, and by the time I felt it fully, everything I believed in was already gone. I sat in the car, hands shaking on the wheel. How did I miss this? I asked the empty seat. My phone buzzed. Ryan's name flashed. I didn't answer. It buzzed again. Finally, I said, say it. He hesitated. Daniel, listen. Were you sleeping with my wife? I asked. Silence. Then, I didn't mean for it to happen. I laughed bitterly. You both love that line. Man, I'm sorry, he said. I never wanted to hurt you. You did, I said. You destroyed me. He whispered. What do you want me to do? Stay away from me, I said. From both of us. He tried again. We could talk. No, I said. We're done. I ended the call and rested my forehead on the steering wheel. Breathe, I told myself. Just breathe. When I got home, Emily was packing a bag. She said, I'm staying with Olivia. I nodded. That makes sense. She paused. You're not even going to fight? I met her eyes. I don't know how. She looked hurt, then angry. You're giving up. Already lost, I said. She picked up her bag. You'll regret this. Maybe I would. But as the door closed, I felt something settle inside me. The truth hadn't screamed. It had whispered, waited, and finally stripped everything bare. I sat alone, listening to the rain slow down. This isn't a nightmare, I said aloud. This is my life now. No answer came, only silence. And in that silence, I understood something had ended forever. I closed my eyes, knowing tomorrow would hurt more, but pretending ignorance was no longer possible. The truth lived with me, and I could never unlearn it. That knowledge changed everything I was inside me. I waited in the living room, heart pounding, hands clenched. Emily, we need to talk. Now. She looked up from her phone, eyes calm, almost relieved. Oh, we're finally talking? Yes. Don't lie to me. She stood slowly. Lie? About what exactly? I leaned forward. About the baby. Tell me it's not Ryan. Her lips twitched. You already know, don't you? I froze. Then you're admitting it? She nodded. Yes. It's Ryan. You're serious? My voice shook. My best friend. Ryan. She avoided my gaze. I didn't plan it. It just happened. I stood. Just happened. Emily, I've been here, working, trying to hold us together. And it just happened. I told you, she snapped. You're never there emotionally. You've always been absent. That's why. My chest tightened. So you justify it by blaming me? She flinched. I don't know. I couldn't tell you before. I was scared. I ran a hand through my hair. Scared? Of what? Losing me? You already did. She shook her head, tears threatening. I didn't want to hurt you. You've hurt me more than I ever imagined, I said, voice low, shaking. You betrayed me with my own friend. And you think that makes sense? I can't even look at you right now, I said, stepping back. I need time. I grabbed my coat and left before she could answer. I needed Ryan. I needed him to say it wasn't true. I called him that night. His voice came hesitant. Daniel? What? Don't act confused. You know what I'm calling about. Were you with her? A pause. Daniel, you lied to me. All this time. I trusted you. You were my brother in everything but blood. How could you? I didn't mean for it to happen. Love doesn't need intention, I said coldly. It needs respect. You had none for me. I love her, he said. I never wanted to hurt you. You have to believe me. I believed you, I said, voice barely audible. And look where that got me. You both destroyed everything. I'm sorry, he whispered. I really am. Sorry. I laughed bitterly. Sorry doesn't fix betrayal. Sorry doesn't undo lies. Sorry doesn't erase the nights I thought she loved me. While you were... Daniel, please. Stop. No. I need you to hear it. You destroyed me. Not with anger, not with words, but with knowing exactly where to strike. And you did. Both of you. I ended the call before he could answer. His silence would have been worse anyway. Back at my apartment, I sank onto the couch, staring at the wall. Emily had called once, crying. Please forgive me, she said. I love him. I didn't want it to happen. I know. I whispered. But I can't forgive what's done. I can't go back. I imagined Ryan's smug smile when I confronted him in the past. It was gone now, replaced by a hollow apology. That hollow made my blood run cold. I thought of Emily's face, relieved that the truth was out. That relief made my stomach twist. Relief over the destruction of everything we had shared. I felt a strange calm. Not peace, not acceptance. Just numb. I didn't scream. I didn't hit. I didn't cry. I simply walked away, leaving them to face the mess they had created. And that scared them more than any shouting, more than any violence could have. I understood then that betrayal doesn't just hurt. It kills quietly, and it comes from people who know exactly where to strike to leave the deepest wound. I sat alone, listening to the city hum outside. I realized my life had shifted in one instant, that the people I trusted most had chosen differently. And I knew, without doubt, that things would never be the same. I had no words left, only the empty ache of a bond severed and a family broken in silence. I packed one suitcase and walked out. Emily didn't protest. She didn't even look at me. "Where are you going?" she asked finally. "Somewhere I can think," I said, zipping the bag. She smirked. "Like I care where you go." I nodded. "Fine. Stay where you are." Outside, the air felt heavy but honest. I called Sarah. "I need your help," I said. "Of course, Daniel. Tell me everything," she said, calm and professional. I swallowed. I can't stay there anymore." She lied. "Ryan," Sarah interrupted gently. "You don't need to explain. I understand. We'll handle this." Her voice didn't pity me. She respected me. That mattered more than she could know. Days later, Emily tried to control the story. "Tell people it's just a misunderstanding," she said. "I'm not lying for you," I replied. "I'll tell the truth when it's asked." She frowned. "You don't care about appearances?" "I care about honesty," I said. "That's enough for me." Rumors spread quickly. Ryan lost his job after his actions came to light. Emily's parents asked questions she couldn't answer. I watched from a distance, quietly, without gloating. At the gym, I pushed myself harder than ever. "Come on, Daniel. Focus," I whispered while lifting. In therapy, I said, "I thought I'd never get over this." My therapist nodded. Healing isn't about rushing. It's about patience, about understanding yourself. Some nights I missed Emily, the woman I thought she was. I remembered laughter, small touches, quiet nights. Then I reminded myself, she wasn't her. That version never existed. I stopped calling Ryan. I stopped replaying his words. "He's not mine to fix," I told myself. I started running. Early mornings, rain, sun, cold air. My legs ached, but my chest felt lighter. I learned silence could be comforting. No explanations, no arguments, no betrayals to dodge. Just me and the world as it was. Emily called once. "Daniel, please. I just want to talk." I didn't answer. I stared at my reflection instead. "I'm not that man anymore," I whispered. The house felt empty without her, but it felt mine. I bought a lamp. I arranged the living room. I made space for myself. Some nights, loneliness crept in, sharp and cold. "I wonder if I'll ever trust again," I said to no one. Then I realized I already did, myself. That was enough. I forgave slowly, not her, but the part of me that stayed silent too long. The part that ignored warning signs, that hoped love alone would fix everything. One evening, I lifted weights and laughed quietly. Not at anyone, not with anyone. Just me, realizing how far I had come. I missed the comfort of her presence sometimes, yes. But I didn't miss the fear, the doubt, the helplessness. I walked by the old apartment one day. Emily's curtains were drawn. Ryan's car was gone. I felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness. Just peace. I told Sarah, I think I'm finally free." She smiled. "You've done the hardest part yourself." I nodded, thinking about every small step. Gym, therapy, silence, running. Every step was mine. And for the first time, I realized I didn't need anyone to define me. I was enough. I went to sleep that night without regret, without fear, without doubt. The man I used to be had died with the lies and betrayals. In its place, I had built someone stronger, someone honest, someone alive. And walking away had been the only way to find him. I heard a knock at the door late one evening. Emily, I called. She stepped inside, thinner than I remembered, eyes rimmed with red. Daniel, I gestured to the couch. Sit. What's going on? She shook her head. I didn't know who else to turn to. I stayed silent, studying her face. The color had drained. She looked scared. Ryan, he's gone, she whispered. I nodded slowly. I guessed. He couldn't handle it. Tears slipped down her cheeks. I made a mistake. A huge one. Everything is falling apart. I didn't move. Didn't say anything at first. Part of me wanted to yell, to scream, to remind her of the pain she caused. I thought you'd forgive me, she said, voice trembling. I let out a quiet sigh. I'm not here for forgiveness. Her lips quivered. But Daniel, I need you. I shook my head. No, that's not love. That's fear. You want me because you're afraid of being alone. That's not love, Emily. That's desperation. Her shoulders slumped. I thought it was love. I really did. I leaned back, keeping my voice calm. You never loved me the way I loved you. You loved the idea of me, the comfort, the stability. And now it's gone, isn't it? She sobbed quietly. Yes, it is. I said nothing. I let her cry, knowing any words from me could ignite anger or pity. I wanted neither. Daniel, can't we fix this? Please. I shook my head again. No. I hope you survive this, Emily. But not with me. Not ever with me. She looked at me, confusion and fear in her eyes. You're not angry. I'm beyond anger, I said softly. This isn't about revenge. I'm just done. I have my life, my peace, my choices. You lost your chance. She blinked, tears streaming down her face. I don't know what to say. I leaned against the doorframe. You don't need to say anything. Actions have consequences. You're learning them the hard way. She stood slowly, wiped her cheeks. Daniel, I'm so sorry. I know, I said. And that's enough. No more words. The silence between us stretched, heavy and final. She moved toward the door, hesitated, then left without another word. I closed the door and leaned against it. My chest was tight, but my mind was clear. No victory, no satisfaction, just peace. I thought about Ryan, about the lies, about every moment of betrayal. Karma didn't need my help. It arrived on its own. I walked to the window, watching the rain drizzle down. The world kept moving. Emily's mistakes, Ryan's cowardice, the pain they caused. It was theirs to bear, not mine. For the first time, I felt a lightness I hadn't known in months. The weight of resentment, the constant replaying of their betrayals had lifted. I whispered to myself, I don't need them. I never did. Hours later, I made dinner for one. I ate slowly, savoring the silence. No tension, no fear, no manipulations. Just me and my choices. I thought about forgiveness again, not for her, not for Ryan, but for myself. For surviving without losing myself entirely. The night grew quiet. I poured a glass of water, leaned back in my chair, and closed my eyes. Emily's shadow lingered, but it no longer controlled me. Ryan's betrayal no longer haunted me. I was free, and in that freedom, I realized the most important lesson. Life balances itself. Those who harm often face their own reckoning. I didn't have to orchestrate it. I just had to survive and keep walking. For the first time in a long while, I slept peacefully, knowing that the storm outside had passed, and I had emerged intact. A year had passed, and my life had finally settled into a quiet rhythm. I woke up each morning without dread, without the weight of betrayal pressing on my chest. Morning, Daniel, my mom said one day, her smile warmer than I remembered. Morning, Mom, I replied genuinely. Her concern had always been heavy, but now it felt like support, not worry. At the gym, Mark clapped me on the shoulder. Looking stronger, man. You look alive again. I laughed lightly. Thanks. Took me long enough. Long enough? He asked, raising an eyebrow. You know, everything that happened. Took me a year to stop replaying it in my head. He nodded slowly. Some things hit harder than we think. But surviving is winning, Daniel. I thought about Ryan the other day. I saw him at a cafe, sitting alone. He looked empty, hollow in a way that made my chest tighten. I didn't approach him. I didn't speak. I just walked past, realizing that survival doesn't always need confrontation. That night, I called my mom. I think I'm finally okay, I said. I've been watching you, she said, smiling. You've changed. In a good way. I told her about the small victories, the gym sessions, the therapy, the nights I forced myself out of bed even when I didn't want to. I'm learning to trust myself again, I said. She paused. That's the most important thing, Daniel. Trusting yourself first. I agreed silently. Trusting myself had been the hardest lesson of all. On my anniversary night, I sat in my apartment, staring at the old wedding photo. The memory of the slap, the betrayal, the heartbreak. It all came back, vivid and raw. I picked up a lighter. Emily's face, Ryan's grin, the years of lies, they all stared back at me from the photo. I didn't burn it in anger. I didn't need revenge. I just lit it and watched the flames consume the past. Goodbye, I whispered. Not to them, not to the pain, but to the man I used to be. I dropped the ashes in the sink and felt a strange lightness. The anger, the humiliation, the endless what-ifs, they were gone. I went for a run that night. Cold air hit my face, lungs burned, but I felt alive. Every step was mine, not dictated by anyone else's choices or betrayals. Later, I met Sarah for coffee. You seem at peace, she said, studying me. I am, I said, smiling. It's not perfect, but it's real. And I finally like the man I'm becoming. She nodded. It shows. You've built yourself back up without dragging anyone down or letting anyone destroy you. I thought about Emily, about Ryan. I didn't hate them. I didn't long for revenge. I simply let their actions live in their consequences while I moved forward. A friend joked about dating again. I laughed. Not yet. I'm still learning to love myself first. He smiled. That's wise. Most people forget that part. I walked home later, streets quiet, lights dim. I thought about the nights I spent replaying betrayals, the loneliness I once feared. I realized now that solitude had been a teacher, not a punishment. The old man I was, the one who got slapped, who begged silently, who hoped love would fix everything. That man didn't exist anymore. I looked at my reflection in the window. The eyes staring back were stronger, calmer, sharper. You survived, I whispered. You lived. I smiled. Not a forced smile, not one hiding pain. Just me alive and whole. The city hummed around me, indifferent as it always did. And for the first time, I felt perfectly in sync with it. I didn't need chaos or drama. I didn't need closure from them. I had closure for myself. I reached home and poured a glass of water. Sat on the couch. I thought about anniversaries, about slaps, lies, betrayals, and loss. None of it mattered anymore. Only my choices mattered now. I whispered again, softly this time. I am the man I chose to be, not the man they made me, not the man I fear becoming. Just me. And in that quiet, I felt it fully. Freedom, strength, survival. And for the first time in years, I slept knowing I had truly lived.